Hi, singers. I wanted to talk to you today about how many singers still struggle to understand how their voice works, and it's troubling. It's making them struggle. And if you get these concepts in your mind well enough, you can start to get better results. But until you really grasp it, you're going to carry on struggling, and you're going to carry on fighting against your voice. That feeling of fighting your own voice, you might not realize that's what's happening. Less is more. When we're talking about high notes, those big notes that we think are big and difficult doesn't mean they need more air, more pressure, more oomph, more power. They need less. Higher notes need less of all of those things. And it's really hard to make people understand that. Yeah, I've had a cold all week. My voice feels really weak. But as you go higher up there, I'm putting less into it. But it will probably sound just as powerful as it should. How do we get people to understand this? Vocal coaches are kind of rattling you like this on the internet, saying, listen, this is how it works, this is how it should work. And you see these coaches like myself passionately trying to explain things and doing all these gesticulations and drawing pictures for you to try and help you grasp it. And of course I was the same. It was really hard to understand this stuff. I want you to try and get the idea of what's going on inside a bit more solid in your brain, perhaps, to help you realize that overpowering higher notes is you're just going to get this tension that you don't want. And I just feel like I repeat the same things a lot and get the same sorts of comments. It does genuinely feel, and I remember this, years and years of tension, years and years of problems that led to me having an operation, and I'm really passionate about trying to get people to understand what's going on because I had an operation and I kind of struggled and fought and battled with my voice so much before I worked it all out, and it was too late. I'm still okay. I can still sing, but it's had an effect on my voice. There's those chords at the top of your airway comes up, gets to where the voice box is there, where your larynx are, your Adam's apple. That's the top of the airway. The vocal cords that are at the top of the airway, they close to help you strain and do strenuous things. And when you breathe, they open to let air in. And when you talk, they are coming together. You can't possibly picture it. It's so fast. Hundreds of times a second, they are coming together. Every time they hit, it makes a sound and it releases a bit of air, and a vibration comes up into your vocal tract and resonates in your head. But that's happening hundreds of times a second. So if you were just to take the vocal cords and listen to them, they've been making a little slappy noise of two pieces of tissue, two pieces of ligament, whatever you want to call it, kind of stuff, human body stuff, slapping together. But in the vocal tract, hundreds of times a second, it buzzes and makes a note. But it's the vocal tract that resonates that sound to give it that kind of shape and colour and tone. But think about these chords. They have to stretch, meaning they come together quicker. As you slow it down for a lower note, speed it up. As if you play guitar, it makes sense when you think about tuning guitar. You stretch it, it gets higher. You pull on it, it gets higher in pitch. The chords need to be stretched, and they're coming together faster because it's a higher frequency. It's a higher frequency. The air is moving. It's rippling in the air. And that air is inside your head. There's a ripple effect, squashing the airwaves together, and then they expand out and squash together in like you drop a pebble in a pond and you get a ripple. Imagine the air is moving like that when we hear sound. It flies across the room and into our ears in a split second. That vibration is happening at a faster rate. The frequency, the vibration is a faster vibration for a higher pitch, and the chords are stretched, which means they're thinning out as well. When they're lower, they're a bit chunkier and fatter. They're sort of more of the mass of the chords is connecting. But when you get higher up, they're thinner, and a thinner edge of the chords is connecting. If you try and put too much force, air, and these chords are trying to come together, and you're forcing forcing air up like this and they're trying to come together like they're supposed to, they're either going to blow apart and you're going to get falsetto or breath or air and no notes, or you're going to try and strain and grip and tense up to compensate for the fact that you're putting too much air pressure through the chords. Okay, I wonder if that's making sense. I explain it over and over again, but it doesn't seem to make sense. When I go, there's this backing off that happens as you get higher. I'm kind of going up into the middle range there and I'm backing off. I'm not going and shouting and going louder and louder at that note. I'm backing off. I'm letting the chords stretch. I'm not trying to maintain all that power. And people get obsessed with the power that they think they're supposed to have. Let the voice work for you and it will sound powerful. Yay! There's not lacking in any power there, apart from the fact it feels really weak because I've had a cold this week. It feels horrible. But despite that, yay! Yeah! I'm not massively loud at all. It doesn't need to be. It sounds intense. I try and explain this. It's a way I've tried to explain it, like the chords stretch like that, resonating in this chamber in our head, sounds intense. So you will get an intense sound out of your voice if you just let it do what it wants to do. But we fight it. We fight because we feel like it's got to be powerful and strong. And we're so desperate to sound strong and powerful, always going around that in the wrong way and in an unhealthy way. So I just want people to kind of get this concept into their head a little bit more. And I wanted to do just a quick video talking about that today. Please take the advice. Please look at other people talking about it. You need to give less for those high notes, but you will feel like you have to go powerful. You can't get a note to happen unless you go for all that power. But you've got to try and recognize the feelings that you're used to might not be healthy and might not be good for the voice. And maybe something's telling you that, or you wouldn't be finding videos like this on YouTube to work on your voice. Try to believe all the advice out there. Take it on board and think there's got to be a reason these people are talking about this stuff. It's not just some magic trick. We're not selling you some yarn, not selling you some lie that we're trying to make money out of. I mean, obviously I'm a coach. I'm trying to feed my kids and make a living and keep a roof over my heads. But I had to learn all this stuff, and I learned it all after years of completely damaging my voice. Maybe you could listen to me because I've had an operation and I really did learn the hard way. And I want everyone to learn before they go down that path from my mistakes. And I love teaching, but it's so hard to make people understand that those big notes, they're not big. They're little and small and stretched thin. They don't need power. They being the big notes, they being the high notes. It doesn't need power. It needs you to let go, hold off, put less force into it to allow the voice to stretch and do its thing. And it will sound massive if you shape that sound nicely, if you get your larynx out of the way in terms of them rising up, if you get everything from gripping, because that gripping sensation that you feel is only there to compensate or protect you, because it's going, oh God, this seems scary, this seems a bit wrong, and everything grabs. So that's only happening. That tension is only happening as a result of the poor technique in the first place, or just the fact that our brains kind of go, this feels difficult, and it kind of, that flight freeze response grabs. And it tenses up, which is a natural instinct that the voice mechanism or muscles around the voice mechanism are kind of part of us straining. When we get tense, you can hear it in people's voices. People's voice does do things when we're in certain emotions, and partly what's going on is just that all that instinctive stuff happens when you try and sing because we're not quite sure how to do it, and it is slightly unnatural, I guess, if you think about it like that. It's kind of slightly unnatural to use our voice in the way that we do when singing. So the voice tenses, the things around it grab in fear. I just want to, that's all I'm saying. I'm not going to do anything more in this video. And maybe for once I'll have actually done a short video, but I want you to just try and take on board, look at someone else talking about how to let go, put less into it, put less power into it, to sort of ease off with your pushing and oomph that you're trying to put into your voice to get those high notes. It may feel weird at first and it won't come out and it won't sound like you want. And you'll find that you almost feel more comfortable with what you know because it's what you know and you trust it and you know what you can get from it. So you go back to it and you go back to it, but then you end up with a really horrible feeling voice the next day. It's got to tell you something. There are signs that that's maybe not right. So less is more. It's so true. It's literally how the voice works. We need to understand how the voice functions so we can use it better in that way. And please believe in what people are saying so that you can just try to start to change things and experiment. Just experiment with trying to remove everything that feels tense, tight, squeezed, pressurized. See if you can take all that out of it. There's so many videos on my channel that help with all of these things. Stop singing too loud, the rocky road of the vocal bridge, the mixed voice made easy with the creaky vocal fry effect, all these videos and everyone else's that you see out there. There's some fantastic coaches online with way better structured videos than mine because I'm just waffling at you right now. Try to listen to them, try to hear what they are saying and really think there must be a reason they're all saying these similar things about what we need to do with our voice. It's just a conceptual one today. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to get into some scales and exercises on another video and I might put a second one out this week if I can really get organised before Christmas. In the meantime, be well, good luck with your singing and I'll see you next time.